Hello and welcome to a Build Forex Hub. Now today I want us to just look at a daily CRT that I feel maybe I should share with you, and a few people who are asking me how I managed to catch this CRT entry, and I decided just to record it and post it here for everyone to see. Let's just start from there. One, we need to know that CRT, you always trade in the direction of the trend. And when you see this, and basically gold, we are mostly on an uptrend, and therefore I looked at the whole thing, and one of the consideration I made is the fact that we are already on an uptrend, but when it broke above this break of structure, definitely it means that we are in an uptrend. So I need to be looking for a buy entry or a buy setup. Therefore, once that is done, and then now this is on a daily time frame. As you can see on my screen here, we are on a daily time frame, and therefore once I got that, once I got the bias of the trend, then I now looked for a CRT, a buy or a bullish CRT setup. Yes, so now I had to wait for some time because I was expecting maybe there will be a reaction around this level, but I didn't get that reaction, so I got this CRT candle. And one of the other things you need to consider is the fact that once the candle, you consider mostly the highest probability candle is a candle that is quite big, or a large candle, large, big bodied candle, not like the doji and the rest, but the big bodied candle are usually very high probability when it comes to CRT. Therefore I got this candle, which was on Monday 29th December, and then from there I waited for it to be rejected, and luckily, or I had to wait for another three days for it to be rejected. And the other probability which makes it high probability is the fact that we have this inside candle within the CRT, and therefore this one gives it a high probability. When you get a rejection with a prior inside candle, at least that gives you a higher probability than the rest, but all the others are also very okay. Therefore I marked these levels are usually with my fib. I can delete it and then show you how I mark it. So I get my fib settings. I have my settings saved, or my template saved in the fib, and make sure that I get it well, placed well. I usually consider the OHLC, and I'm sure most of you traders know what is OHLC, where you the open high low close, or open low high close. Yeah, so that's for the candle. For those who would want to learn more about the candle morphology, you can comfortably contact me using the number on the bio, and I can take you through that. Therefore I marked that, and majorly what I do is I mark I ensure that I mark the exact levels of that candle. So the highest level is 45.49.30. So 45.49.30. So I changed here to 45.49.30. Yeah, 0.30. And then the lowest or the low of that candle is 4302.80. 4302.80. So I decided to also change this one. Let me just type it directly. 4302 point what point 4302.80. so let me just fill that 0.80, and that's how I set my CRT. I can even lock that one to ensure now I don't move it anymore. Then from there I go to the lower time. I went to the lower time frame, which is my the 1 hour time frame, to look now at closely at the level, the rejected level, and this rejected level, I can just clear this so that we see exactly what we got here. So let me clear that, all of that. Oh, before I continue, there is also this bit of the key level. So when we go back to the daily time frame, our key level should be on the higher time frame. So we go to the weekly and look for our key level, and our key level is this rejection block here. This rejection block here on this weekly time frame. We have this rejection block here, and also that's where we enter. Now we set our key level, and then from there now we have our daily. Then we go now to the 1 hour. So with our 1 hour, what do we have here? The 1 hour is let's look at it closely. We look at it closely so that we get to understand exactly what happened with the 1 hour. First of all, we had that rejection, and then one thing I would want you to be considering very much when you are trading CRT. Also consider the other candle pairing and candlestick patterns and candlestick patterns and chart patterns. But majorly I want you to look at or consider candlestick patterns, and also something else I would want you to consider is according to me, I also consider support and resistance levels, but usually I use my the Malaysian SNR strategy. So the Malaysian SNR strategy works for me very well. So this is what I used here, but I had to use those confirmations. So I went to 4 hours. First, just on the 4 hours, what do I need to look for? I need to look for a pattern that shows me that we are truly on an uptrend, and this pattern is this one here. We had an engulfing, and once we have an engulfing, and then you go to a lower time frame, the immediate lower time frame, you need to get a Quasimodo pattern, and that Quasimodo pattern needs to be in the direction of the engulfing also. So once I went to the lower time frame, which is our 1 hour, which also is the lower time frame for our CRT from daily, which change it to line chart. Just to confirm first, change it to line chart, where the line chart is giving us the Quasimodo pattern that I was looking for. Where is that Quasimodo? Let's enlarge this and see. We have this here. We have this here. I hope you can see the chart, or maybe I can enlarge the size of the line chart to a slightly bigger. Yes, like that, and then we're good. So this is a Quasimodo pattern that is going up. So once it goes up, breaks above this, and then it pulls back into this level. Yeah, so you can get an early entry here by just drawing this. That's the Quasimodo region. I usually draw like that to ensure that we have this pattern broken below and also broken above. So break below this zone here, the level, and then break above that level. That gives an automatic expectation or an automatic pullback where price pulls back into this midpoint, and therefore that was one entry. That was a very sniper entry that you would have taken from there and gotten your several. So here you mark that, and you get to set your TP. Usually I set my TP at 30 pips. Let me show you. At 30 pips, that's the usual level I set my TP at 30 pips. So 30 pips, and then you target. Now our target here is not this level, but this level here. You get this level here. So my target would have been is always that level on that zone. So you target that level, that's a first entry, and there you catch your 840 pips, just as a by the way. Yeah, that's a by the way. But then we are trading what? Our CRT. So our CRT then is our CRT is what we are looking for, and our entry here, we are looking for a CRT entry. So let's now look for that entry. Sorry, this one ought to have gotten to that level, and we hit our TP very well. Then now let's look for our CRT. This was a by the way, at least to first confirm that we are in an uptrend, and the good thing is we confirmed that we made some money, which is around 843 pips. Yeah, as you can see up here. Then now let's go back to us to our CRT. Our CRT, I was telling you, we consider what? I usually consider my the Malaysian SNR. Therefore, with the Malaysian SNR one, we considered this. There was that rejection on that level, the candle rejected there, and once that candle rejected, it tells us we are in an uptrend, and therefore what do we look out for? We can either look for a consequent encroachment, which gives us this candle here, this rejection here to this level. We expect price either should come to the 50%, but that didn't come. Usually what I always tell people, go to the lower time frame, which is in this case 5, we can do 15 minutes time frame, and then the 15 minutes time frame will give you sorry, let me give you this so yeah, that one. So on the 15 minutes we also get what? We also get that kind of a pattern here. So near this was a rejection. Near this we have another zone of rejection, which is this one here. Yeah, so we rejected on that zone. Let me just change this to that line. We rejected that zone. Yeah, and therefore that would have been another entry for us, but already we had an entry on this positive encouragement, but this one would also have given a good entry, and maybe you target this level as in like this, because already you've confirmed here and you've broken changed character here. So you'd have entered at this level, and your your stop loss should be 30 pips. Always target 30 pips most of the time, 30 pips, and then you you would target this level. Why this level? Because this level is in the previous level, external level. Therefore that would have given you around 272 pips, this before. Then now going back to, now we are looking for what? We are looking for an entry for the higher for this for the higher time frame, like for the CRT. So for the CRT, what do we look out for now? Here we already are at this rejection, right? And with that rejection, what do? We just come now and mark something called consequent encroachment. For those who know about ICT, they know consequent encroachment is usually marked on the PD arrays. So this consequent encroachment, we target that and we set it at the level of what? At that level, right? No, sorry, I ought to have done it on the 1 hour. Sorry, I ought to have done it on the 1 hour. Let's go back to the 1 hour. Yes, this is where we had this rejection. Yeah, the rejection. So on the higher time frame, that's where we look for the consequent encroachment. So the higher time frame, the one that you started with. So our consequent encroachment comes to this level. Yes, like that wick that rejected the second time, and therefore now we target, that's where we need to target. And then the other thing you need to consider, as you consider the consequent encroachment, you need to consider also liquidity. When you look at this, yeah, let me first I can minimize this or move this. You realize we have liquidity up here, right? This is liquidity. So we had this liquidity here, and this also another liquidity here. It's almost the same level, so almost same level. We cannot consider this as a liquidity grab because it's more or less the same zone, within the same zone of liquidity. So this liquidity gives us now a strong point below. Let me mark that, a strong point below, and then we have this consequent encroachment. So we are looking for this rejection block. Yeah, this rejection block gives us now our entry, and that's why now when you look at this, we got this entry at this level here. Yeah, we had this entry. You still can consider what, sorry, you still can consider 30 pips as your entry. So instead of that, let me just change it here to 30 pips. So it's usually 300. Yeah, you consider 30 pips your entry, and you realize that it's slightly just below the rejection candle. Therefore, from there you do your entry, and your entry should go to the highest level of the candle, right? The highest level of the CRT, and that's why my target is still up here. And you realize our risk reward ratio is quite big. It's around 79, 1:79. Yeah, so we moved with that. We are still moving. Yeah, yes, there are people who would close it at 50%, which is very okay. This is 50% or equilibrium. I call it an equilibrium. You would have taken your first profits at this level. Then from there, you proceed to the target level, which is this. That's how it's still progressing. Now, when you go back to the 1 hour, to the 1 day, or the daily time frame, you realize that we also had another CRT. Yes, this CRT here, up here on this candle. I told you we have to first of all consider the direction of the trend, which is bullish. So we had a CRT here, a rejection, which gave us a very good CRT level, and therefore when I marked it here, this candle, and then we rejected with this. Therefore I went to the lower time frame again and got my setup again. And my setup here, you will realize now this time I used slightly a different kind of an approach, and therefore with the lower time frame I looked for another. Do you realize that we rejected and then we consolidated around that zone, and from there we got another CRT, which is the 1 hour CRT, which is quite a very good one. And with the 1 hour CRT, what do we have? The 1 hour CRT, when you go and you look at it from this point, do we have our zone of interest here? Yes, we have. If we go to even to the higher time frame, slightly higher time frame, we had this the whole of this rejection block, right? We had the whole of that rejection block. But then one thing I always say with this rejection block, yeah, it's there, this one, this candle here, this is a whole rejection block. Yeah, we have our what, our zone. Within that rejection block, do we have a support, a rejection level? Yes, a level that would be rejected, and this is the level here. Now this one, we consider it on the 1 hour. Yeah, so we have that. I'll mark it up. Sorry, H1. Yes, we mark it at that level, and that's where now we base our origin of the trade. Therefore, now we start considering, we have a CRT, we have that zone rejected, the whole of that zone. Therefore, now let's go down. Now I can delete this. I can delete this. Yeah, we be left with a clean chart. Yeah, then we go down to 5 minutes or 15, whichever. You can use 15 minutes. Yeah, it's okay, 15 minutes, but then we go back down to 5 minutes. Yeah, so on 5 minutes, what are you looking for? You're looking for a few things. First of all, we have this move. This move, what do we have with this move? We have break, change of character. Yeah, this change of character here. We also have an order block. Yeah, we have this order block here. But then with this order block, I want you to note one very simple thing. Change your chart into a line chart. Once you change your chart into a line chart, do you realize that we have a demand zone around this level? This demand zone, I want you to note the uniqueness of this demand zone. And if you want to learn a lot more about it, please just contact me. The number is on my bio. So this demand zone, we've marked it. We have this kind of Quasimodo kind of a pattern, and when you see the Quasimodo, you realize that you might see the engulfing on the lower time frame, the lower time frame. This one, yeah, on the higher time frame, sorry. So we're looking for that engulfing. Do we have it somewhere? We don't have it. At least you can see that, but we have a Quasimodo pattern. This is what I wanted you to note. We have a Quasimodo pattern on this level, and therefore now this is where we consider our entry. And how do we consider, and why do we consider? We consider our entry because we have had a change of character here. We also have had a change of character here. People will argue that this is not a change of character because we have to break above this, but this is on a lower time frame. When we have a change of character here, it means we're changing character into the higher levels, right? Therefore, let's consider this. So we got this here, and we drew our zone. And this zone, it's a 5 minute zone, and this is where now our entry comes in. Why? Because we are going up. And again, if you realize, you can mark this zone here, and you'll realize that this on the discount zone, and that's where buys happen, on the discount zone. Therefore, this when you set your fib, I set my fib from that zone to the end. Why not the week? Because different reasons which you would learn when you come into my class. Therefore, look at this, our 50 level. Let me change to the one that shows you 50 level. Our 50 level is up here. Yeah, I usually don't consider 50, I don't consider 618. I usually consider a level lower, which was hit very well, and therefore with my fib, I got my level my level confirmation, or with using my fib, and therefore I was confident about it. Therefore now entry came here. You can see where our entry came at this level. Yes, at this level here on this zone. Therefore, what do? We target what? We have two targets here. We have the first CRT, the 1 hour CRT. Yeah, the 1 hour CRT that we are considering, which is let me go to this level, and so that you can see it very well. We have this 1 hour CRT here. We also have the daily CRT that we are considering, and in fact we don't consider the 1 hour mostly, but unless you're doing a very short trade, which would work very well, would still work, and you'd get several pips. I think from here you'd get around 150 pips, right? 150 pips, and at 300, let me change this to 300. That's around 30 pips, right? So our risk reward ratio would be this, right? Risk reward ratio would be 5, 1:5. So you'd get that, this level. Yeah, you get to that level. You can even move it slightly back this way, but you get to that level and get your profit. And then yeah, yes, this level, and get your profit hit very well. Get your profit hit very well. Therefore, let me go back to 5 minutes so that you see it clearly. Yes, you see, we hit our profit here at this level. From here up to here, that was around 120, 200 pips, 150 pips, right? So that's 150 pips that you would have gotten, but we are targeting higher. So the higher would be, the first TP would be that, then the second TP would be maybe the 50% of the daily, the internal inside daily candle, 50%, and then we have the other one, the second last one, which is 829 pips at the daily candle, and then the last one is what we are waiting for, which is at the highest level of the daily candle. Let me go back to the daily so that you see what I mean. We have this big daily candle that we are yet to hit, which we are targeting around to 2391 pips, and also we have 1326 pips, yeah, for the bigger the inside candle that we are having, that we got our entry at. So from there, that's how you go on, up to the end. So we are still waiting, and this is where we are, still waiting for that CRT to hit, and I hope for the best. So subscribe, follow me, share these, and also if you need to learn more about CRT, just contact me. The number is on my bio and we will discuss more. But so far, I'm sure I have taught you quite a lot on this video. Enjoy yourself and have a blessed time. Bye.